Let me welcome you, my dear students. This is our sixth learning session of Classical and Renaissance Drama with BS English for semester. Dear students, let's discuss the outline that today we are going to discuss the introduction to Aristophanes and we are going to discuss the summary of the bird, character, themes of the bird, and at the end we are going to discuss either Peisetaerus is a tragic hero or not. So let's start with the introduction to Aristophanes. Aristophanes was a comic playwright of ancient Athens and perhaps the greatest representative ancient Greek comedy. Many of his works are preserved and revered today, and he is widely known as the father or the prince of ancient comedy. So dear students, let's discuss his lifestyle or his life. Aristophanes was born in Athens in 445 before Christ, and he was died sometimes between the 380 before Christ to 390s before Christ. He was the son of Philip the Athenian, and he got married young and had three sons, one of which continued his father's work. Dear students, Aristophanes wrote comedies. Most of his plays are political styles. So dear students, let's discuss that. He was funny with a lot of humor and he made fun of the people and politicians of Athens. So dear student, it was about the life of Aristophanes. Now we are going to discuss about the writing or the work of the Aristophanes. My dear students, let's discuss that Aristophanes wrote 40 plays but only 11 are survived. The first one is the Achaemenians that was performed during 425 before Christ. Then Night, it was performed 424 before Christ, and Cloud was performed in 423 before Christ. The Wasps, it was performed in 422 before Christ. Then Peace, it was performed 421 before Christ. The next one is the Birds, and it was performed in 414 before Christ. Then the next one is the Lysistrata, it was performed in 411 before Christ. The next one is the Themostradius, and it was performed in 411. The next one is the Frogs, it was performed in 405 before Christ. Then Ecclesiras, and it was performed in 392. The next one is the Wealth Tortoise, that was performed in 388 before Christ. So dear students, let's discuss the title of the Birds. The Bird is a comedy by the ancient Greek playwright Aristophanes. It was performed in 414 before Christ at the city Dionysia and in Athens, so where it won the second prize. It has been acclaimed by modern critics as a perfectly realized fantasy remarkable for its mimicry of birds and for the gaiety of the songs or its songs. Unlike the author's other early plays, it includes no direct mention of the Peloponnesian War, and there are few references to the Athenians' politics, and yet it was staged not long after the commencement of the Sicilian expeditions. The expedition we can simply say that an ambitious military campaign that greatly increased Athenians' commitments to the war efforts. So dear students, in spite of that, the play has many indirect references to the Athenian political and social life. It is the longest of Aristophanes' surviving plays, and yet it is a fairly conventional example of old comedy. Dear students, the story follows the Peisetaerus, a middle-aged Athenian who persuades the world's bird to create a new city in the sky, thereby gaining control over the communications between men and gods, and is himself eventually miraculously transformed into a bird-like god figure himself and replaced Zeus as the preeminent power in the cosmos. So it was about the title significance. Now we are going to discuss the summary of the story, the bird. So this is the story of the bird. Means let's start with the story. That is, the play begins with the two middle-aged men, means Peisetaerus and Gylipides, and roughly translated as the trusty friends and good hope. So stumbling across a hillside wilderness in search of the Tiresias and it is the Terrace. It's not the Tiresias, it is the Terrace, and the legendary Thracian king who was once metamorphosed into the hippo bird, is a hippo bird, then disillusioned with the life in Athens and its law code, politics, false oracles, and military antiques, and the hope that to make a new start in life somewhere else, and believe that the hippo or the terrace can advise them. So they arrive at a door where a bird, means which strikes fear in them, answers that he is Terrace's servant. Terrace then comes out to them, and they see that the hardly has and feathers upon his body, as he says is due to molting. So Peisetaerus has the idea that the birds should stop flying around aimlessly in the sky and instead build a giant city in between the men of the earth and the gods of the heavens, in order that the birds can catch all the sacrifices of man and thus have the power over the gods, as they will begin to starve without any sacrifice, without the sacrifices. So the hippo likes the idea and he agrees to help them implement it, provided that the two Athenians can convince all the other birds, means he and his wife, the nightingale, start to assemble the world's bird, which form into the chorus as they arrive. The newly arrived birds are outraged at the presence of man, for mankind has long been their enemy. But the hippo persuades them to give his human guest a fair hearing. Means Peisetaerus explains how the birds were the original gods and advised them to reclaim their lost power and privileges from the upstart Olympians. The audience of the birds is won over, and they urge the Athenians to lead them against the surprising god, means aspiring god. Then the terrace, the hippo summons the birds with a song. Like upon the birds' arrival, they appear to want to attack the men, but are talked out of it. Means Peisetaerus tells the birds of a plan that will allow them to be the gods, to reign over man instead of Zeus and his children. So the plan for the great city is set out before them, and the birds agree that it is an excellent idea. So then the Peisetaerus and Gylipides retire into Terrace's home in order to be transformed into birds themselves. The chorus then gives the genealogy of the gods, in which they claim that the birds are the children of Eros and grandchildren of Night and Erebus, means giving them claim to the earth over the current gods. So the middle-aged travelers come out of Terrace's home transformed as best they could be into birds, and proclaim that the name of the new city built by the birds will be the Cloud Cuckoo Land. So the Peisetaerus begins to perform religious ceremonies and sacrifices in honor of the new gods, the bird, who have begun to build their great city in the sky. Upon the attempt to sacrifice, Peisetaerus is interrupted by the multiple visitors which he has to run off, including a poet, an oracle monger, Meton, an informer, a degree seller. Peisetaerus then returns indoors to finish the religious ceremony. Upon his return outside, Peisetaerus is greeted by a messenger who says what he says. The theme we are going to discuss, and at the theme means the theme of power, the theme of new gods, and the theme of morality. So let's start with the theme. We are going to discuss here the theme of power. So my dear students, that power is one of the main theme in this play, the bird, and Peisetaerus and Euripides have left Athens because the power mongering over laws have become too much for them. In this session, we are going to discuss that how power is described in his work, but they soon teach the birds how to become the new god, they are going to show their own power. So let's discuss that Aristophanes shows how easily it is for power structures to be created through past tales, revealing genealogy that impatience and vanity. So let me discuss about the power, how power is shown in this play. The first power is shown by the god and goddesses to human beings. Then the next one is how their power is stealed by Peisetaerus, he tried to show his own power, or the new power as a bird, how he is powerful while creating a new city between the heaven and earth. So the next one is new gods, the new theme is this theme has to do with the fact that men, once they learn of the new gods, the birds attempt to manipulate them to get an upper hand in the scheme of for the money on earth. They just want to get the money, they just want to get the power, they just want to get the sacrifices of human beings that were only for the god and goddesses. So this theme reveals that man will follow whatever god will best suit their abilities to grow more wealthy and allow them more leniency in their acts. So the next one is the theme of morality. So morality is a major theme of this play. Peisetaerus sets out to get away from all of the laws of Athens, and in turn sets up the new gods, and that will allow man and him to need not to necessity of denial, that all of their desires would come true, worshipping the bird as gods have to do directly with the fact that man will follow any god that allows them to continue to do bad rather than to be transformed into right living. So the next one is we are going to discuss either the character of Peisetaerus is a tragic hero or not. So let me discuss that. Let's start with the characteristics of tragic hero. So my dear students, the first characteristics of tragic hero is the tragic hero is a man or a woman of a noble status or a noble stature. Then the second one is the tragic hero is good but not so perfect. The third characteristic is at the result we can judge that the tragic hero's downfall is his own fault. Then The next one is the hero's fall is not so pure loss in the play. Then the last one is the tragedy arouse pity and fear, but ultimately these emotions are hurt. So let's discuss these characteristics in Peisetaerus. So my dear students, let me discuss that first one is the noble birth or noble status. So Peisetaerus was a common citizen of Athens and becomes the new king of gods. So he has no noble birth. Then not perfect means we just know that means it is true he is not so perfect means Peisetaerus wants to rule over Zeus and human beings also. He just wants to steal the power of Zeus. So he was not so good or not perfect. This is also true with him. The next one is the downfall. We don't find any kind of downfall in it, and means when we don't find any downfall means how is it possible that it was due to his own fault. So we don't find any other thing in it. Means the last one is the catharsis. Means this is a comedy and we don't find any kind of catharsis in it. So we can prove that this is a comedy and this is not a tragic. So this is not a tragic story or the tragedy. So how is it possible that Peisetaerus is a tragic hero? So we can say that means Peisetaerus is not a tragic hero. So this is all about our lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.